The Desert Oasis. Once upon a time, in a vast kingdom surrounded by endless deserts, there lived a young woman named Zara. She was the leader of a caravan that traveled across the desert, transporting goods from one city to another. Zara was known for her bravery, intelligence, and unshakable determination. She had inherited her leadership role from her father, who had been a respected trader before his untimely death. Now, the responsibility of guiding her people through the treacherous desert rested on her shoulders. The desert was a harsh and unforgiving place. The scorching sun beat down on the sand, making it difficult to travel during the day. At night, the temperature dropped, and the wind howled through the dunes. Despite the challenges, Zara led her caravan with courage, always ensuring that her people had enough water and provisions to survive the journey. One day, as the caravan was preparing for their longest journey yet, a 3-week trek across the desert to a distant city, Zara gathered her people. "This will be a difficult journey," she said, her voice steady but filled with concern. "The desert is unpredictable, and we must stay focused if we are to reach our destination safely." The caravan was made up of traders, families, and workers who trusted Zara with their lives. They had faith in her leadership, but even the strongest of them knew that the desert was full of dangers, sandstorms, mirages, and the constant threat of running out of water. With the supplies packed and the camels loaded, Zara and her caravan set off into the desert. The first few days were uneventful, with clear skies and gentle winds. The caravan moved steadily, covering several miles each day. Zara kept a close eye on the horizon, always alert for any signs of trouble. But on the 5th day, the winds began to change. Dark clouds gathered in the distance, and the air grew thick with dust. Zara recognized the signs immediately. A sandstorm was approaching. "We need to take shelter," Zara shouted to the caravan. "Find cover behind the dunes and secure the supplies." The storm hit with full force. The wind howled like a wild beast, and the sand swirled around them, stinging their skin and making it difficult to see. The caravan huddled together, covering their faces and holding onto their belongings as the storm raged for hours. When the storm finally passed, the desert was unrecognizable. The landscape had shifted, the dunes had moved, and their path had disappeared. Zara stood up, brushing the sand from her clothes, and looked around. The familiar landmarks were gone, and they were completely disoriented. As they continued their journey, now lost and with dwindling supplies, the caravan grew weary. The heat was relentless, and the water they had carefully rationed was running out. Zara did her best to keep morale high, but she knew they were in trouble. The desert seemed endless, and without a clear path, they were at the mercy of the sands. One afternoon, as they trudged through the heat, Zara's eyes caught something in the distance. It was shimmering, like a pool of water glistening under the sun. Her heart leaped with hope, an oasis. "Look!" Zara shouted, pointing toward the horizon. "There's an oasis up ahead. We can refill our water supplies." The tired faces of the caravan lit up with hope, and they quickened their pace, eager to reach the oasis. But as they drew closer, Zara's excitement began to fade. The shimmering pool of water seemed to move, shift, and then vanish entirely. It was a mirage. Zara stopped, feeling a wave of disappointment wash over her. The desert had played a cruel trick on them. The water they so desperately needed was nothing more than an illusion. Despite the setback, Zara knew she couldn't give up. "We will find a way," she said, her voice strong and filled with determination. "We can't stop now." Her unwavering belief in their success gave the caravan strength. They pressed on, though the journey became more difficult with each passing day. A week into their journey, the situation became critical. The water had run out, and the sun showed no mercy. The people began to grow weak, their lips parched, and their spirits low. Zara knew that without water, they wouldn't survive much longer. That night, as the caravan rested under the stars, Zara lay awake, her mind racing with worry. She had always been a strong leader, but now, doubt began to creep into her thoughts. Had she led her people into a hopeless situation? Was there any chance of finding water before it was too late? As she stared at the sky, she remembered something her father had once told her. In the desert, survival isn't about strength. It's about hope. You must never lose hope, for the desert only defeats those who give up. With those words in her heart, Zara made a decision. She stood up and gathered the caravan around her. "We're going to split into 2 groups," she announced. "I will take a small team and search for water. The rest of you stay here and rest. If we don't return in 2 days, follow the stars north and keep moving." Several of the strongest members of the caravan volunteered to go with Zara. They packed light, taking only the bare essentials, and set off into the desert in search of water. Zara's group traveled for hours, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of an oasis. The sun beat down on them, and their throats were dry, but they didn't stop. Zara's determination pushed them forward. Finally, as the sun began to set on the second day, they reached the top of a tall dune. Zara looked down and gasped. Below them, nestled between the dunes, was a small but real oasis. The water shimmered in the fading light, and palm trees surrounded the pool, offering shade and refuge. "We found it!" Zara exclaimed, her voice filled with relief. The group rushed down to the water's edge, drinking deeply and filling their containers. Zara knelt by the water, her heart full of gratitude. She had never doubted that they would find what they needed, but now, seeing the clear water before her, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had survived the worst of the desert's trials, and they would return to the caravan with hope and life. The next morning, Zara and her team returned to the caravan, carrying the precious water with them. The people were overjoyed, and their spirits lifted as they drank and replenished their supplies. Zara stood before them, her eyes filled with pride and humility. "We faced many challenges on this journey," she said. "The desert tested us in ways we could never have imagined. But we survived because we never lost hope, and we never gave up on each other." The people cheered, grateful for Zara's leadership and the hope she had instilled in them. They had learned that the desert, with all its dangers and illusions, could only defeat those who surrendered to despair. As long as they stayed together and believed in their strength, they could overcome anything. With renewed energy, the caravan continued their journey. They reached their destination a few days later, stronger and wiser from their experience in the desert. Zara, once unsure of her abilities, had proven herself to be a true leader, one who led not with force, but with hope, perseverance, and compassion. And so, Zara's story spread across the kingdom, not just as the tale of a successful journey, but as a lesson in resilience and leadership. People spoke of the brave young woman who never gave up, even when the desert seemed impossible to cross. They admired her for her strength, but even more for her heart.
Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and share our channel Magic Mingle with your friends to enjoy more magical stories.